Welcome to Film Extra. Toward the start of the film we see Alice, a youngster who learns at a severe Midwestern co-ed Catholic secondary school. Her school is extremely severe where understudies are fined for not wearing a belt or for wearing a skirt that is several centimeters more limited than typical. At the ethical quality class, Father Murphy shows understudies sexuality. He says that one can mate solely after the individual in question wed somebody. The marriage ought to be a hetero marriage, and assuming anybody mates outside marriage or before marriage, their soul will be accursed forever, as it's against God's arrangement. He likewise cautions the understudies that God is watching all that. After class, Alice's closest companion Laura comes to her and says that she is worn out on following the school rules. Alice asks Laura if she knew that needing your own mating machine is a transgression. Laura says okay, and furthermore lets Alice know that the vehicle scene of Titanic film, which Alice observes over and over, is likewise a sin. Alice protects herself, saying that she is simply inquisitive and that's it. Later, Alice gets back as in isolation. She lives in a Catholic family and is the lone offspring of her folks. While talking in AOL discussion channel, Alice receives an email from a more bizarre who sends him pictures of him and his significant other in bed. Alice is dazed to see the photos, yet wondering for no specific reason. She really looks at the photos. Out of nowhere, she receives a message from the more bizarre who gets some information about her name, age, and area. Alice misleads him, and then the man requests her image. Subsequent to thinking a ton, Alice chooses to send her companion's image to the stranger. The more odd then recommends virtual mating in spite of not knowing about its significance. Alice cooperates by putting her hand inside her skirt and kneading her mating machine. Abruptly, she hears her mom calling. Also, rapidly switches off the PC. The following Monday at school, a young lady named Beth comes to Alice and tells her that a talk is being spread about Alice, who prepared Swim's plate of mixed greens at Laura's party. Throughout the end of the week, Alice denies doing any such thing, as she doesn't actually know the significance of preparing the plate of mixed greens. Laura asks Beth for what valid reason she didn't come to her party. Beth answers that she went to a Kirkos retreat show to the school, which changed her life totally. After Beth leaves, Alice licks chocolate from the wrapper, and the kid sitting close by begins giggling at her. Alice has no hint about why they are giggling, and frustratingly leaves. On her way, she goes over Swim and her sweetheart Heather, who call Alice revolting. The talk of Alice throwing the serving of mixed greens of Swim even arrives at Mrs. Vetta, who keeps Alice from serving at Mass. She advises Alice to regard her body, which is a gift from God. Alice has no thought of what she is referring to and is totally dumbfounded. Sometime thereafter, Alice goes to meet Dad Murphy and admits her wrongdoings to him. In the wake of standing by listening to her wrongdoings, Father Murphy provides Alice with a light retribution of 20 supplications. Alice goes to the school church to finish her requests, yet Father Murphy and Mrs. Vader's words about her body and sins continue to reverberate to her, so she chooses to go to the school's next Kirkus retreat, as she needs to get back to the way of exemplary nature. Laura is likewise going to the retreat, since she needs to be companions with Nina, a well-known senior. At the point when they show up at the retreat camping areas, Laura is eager to find that Nina is a retreat chief. Alice, on the other hand, focuses on Chris A. Studley Sr., who is likewise a retreat pioneer. Nina takes Alice to her lodge, where Alice will remain with her. Nina requests that Alice give her telephone. Also, watch as it can interfere with her experience in the retreat. Alice stows away her telephone in her pack and gives Nina her observe. Later, Alice joins different understudies who all are partitioned into little gatherings. Alice is eager to discover that Chris is her bunch pioneer. Father Murphy informed the understudies that they pursued the retreat in light of the fact that God needed them to. Over the course of the following 4 days, the understudies will encounter the ups and downs of their life, which will help them in the future. He gives every one of the understudies a paper and requested that they circle the sentiments that they might have felt in the previous year or so. Alice circles every one of her sentiments, including turned on. However, at that point, she adjusts her perspective. Furthermore, attempts to eradicate the circle, which anyway isn't eradicating as time expires. Alice speedily darkens the word and presents the paper. In a little while, Nina gives a discourse about how her folks generally disregard her and love her more youthful sister Melissa, who is better than her all around. However, later, coming to the retreat, her life changed totally, as she was at long last acknowledged for who she was. Soon thereafter, Alice plays a game on her telephone. As she can't rest to keep away from doubt, she puts her telephone into quiet mode, which then starts vibrating. Alice inadvertently finds that she can utilize her telephone's vibrating component to need her mating machine. Anyway, she stops when she sees the cross hanging in her room. The following day, while climbing on a slope, Alice deliberately harms herself so that she can draw near to Chris. He conveys Alice back to her lodge for treatment. Later, Nina comes to Alice's room and advises her to come for a gathering. Photograph, however, at that point she hears a vibration, commotion, and finds that Alice hid her telephone from her in the wake of taking a gathering. Photograph, Father Murphy lets Alice know that he should rebuff her for concealing her telephone, so he advises Alice to clean the retreat house. Subsequent to cleaning Father Murphy's office, Alice sees the PC in his office. Subsequent to affirming that she is distant from everyone else, she signs onto an AOL discussion board and inquires what preparing somebody's plate of mixed greens implies. However, before she could figure out, she hears the strides of somebody and quickly turns off a PC and leaves. On her way, she finds Nina, who facetiously blames Alice for having desire talk that Alice just can't take off from. On the third day of the retreat, Father Murphy lets the understudies know that he found an unequivocal visit on his PC and asks the one answerable to come forward, yet as nobody takes obligation, Father Murphy cautions them that God is watching everything. Later, Dad Murphy meets the understudies individually to figure out who utilized his PC. He meets Alice and gets some information about her inclination turned on. He pushes Alice to admit about her allurement with swim. Alice demands that it's simply gossip spread by her schoolmates, yet Father Murphy doesn't trust her demand. Alice is tired of gossip and defies Wait. She advises Swim to let everybody know that nothing occurred between them except for Swim won't make some noise and leaves without conceding his issue or saying sorry. While cleaning the kitchen, Alice sees Nina kissing one more senior forerunner in the woods, who then, at that point, rubs his mating machine with her mouth. Alice is excited to see them and rubs her mating machine with a broomstick. Later, she goes to Laura and tells her everything about Nina. However, Laura declines to accept Alice and believes that she made everything up to stand out enough to be noticed. Laura closes their companionship and calls Alice a pervy psycho. Alice is tired with all that and chooses to outline Swim for the previous break-in. She places Swim's commitment armband in Father Murphy's office PC. She hears Father Murphy coming in and rapidly conceals in a room. While concealing, she gets Father Murphy needing his mating machine to a grown-up video saved money on his PC. Alice understands that everybody around her has insider facts that they stow away from others. While letting, she finds Chris and kisses him. Despite the fact that Chris appreciates it at first, he becomes overpowered and takes off. On the last day of the retreat, Alice gets to know a modest colleague. While talking to her, she sees Father Murphy pulling Wait to the side as he tracked down Swim's armband on his office PC. Now that Swim is considered liable for the express visit occurrence, Laura apologizes to Alice and reconciles with her. Later, Dad Murphy supports the understudies to share their encounters during the retreat and what they realized. In these 4 days, Swim shares that he surrendered to allurement and is embarrassed for the unequivocal visit message, despite the fact that he never did anything like that. Alice isn't alright with this and chooses to impart her experience to everybody. Alice reminds each understudy that everybody is concealing stuff and energizes them to treat each other with genuineness. Furthermore, regard as Jesus needed. Subsequent to getting back from the retreat, Alice begins searching for schools on the west and east drifts like Gina recommended. The following day at school, Alice defies a still awkward Chris and consoles and that they can in any case be companions. Later, Alice meets with Father Murphy and lets him know that while on the retreat she saw a video of individuals mating with each other. Father Murphy understands that Alice saw him watching the grown-up video, so he doesn't talk about the ramifications of her admission. Rather, he doles out a heavier compensation of 100 supplications to Alice. However, rather than finishing her atonement, Alice returns home to rewatch the vehicle scene in Titanic and rubs her mating machine. The end. Much obliged to you for observing. Buy in and leave a like in the event that you'd subscribe to see more recordings like this.